the next video you're gonna watch how an Israeli Special Forces unit just abducted this naval officer 140 kilometers behind enemy lines and brought him into Israel for interrogation. Did we just see two Mossad agents in civilian clothes walking with these guys in Lebanon? Or maybe they're part of that unit. So let me tell you, from my experience, there's no official confirmation, but the unit seems to be the Israeli Navy SEAL, Shayetet 13, which is probably one of the most qualified units to do such an operation behind enemy lines, especially when you're coming from the sea.
A kidnapping operation made under the cover of darkness. Israeli naval commandos are seen here on security camera, raiding a northern Lebanese town and kidnapping a citizen.
Holding him, his hands are behind his back.
He was later identified as Imad Amaz. Israel claims he's a senior Hezbollah operative, but the Lebanese government say he was a civilian sea captain who was receiving training. But the secret mission to kidnap
Look how far this is from the
30
border.
kilometers north of Beirut in the largely Christian town of Batroun. Locals say he was snatched from student housing. Boats were seen leaving Batroun shores shortly afterwards. His whereabouts remains unknown. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, Batroun, northern Lebanon.
My name is Mansour, and I'm a former Israeli Special Forces officer, and I'm going to try to break this down and help you better understand what might have happened here, because I think there were a few things that people might have missed. For example, the two civilians that were walking with the commando unit, just freely walking with them. Obviously, these are not Hezbollah operators, so who are they? And that's a good question. Did we just see Mossad agents walking with the Shayetet 13? Shayetet 13 is the Israeli Navy SEALs. Either they came there with a submarine and then with speedboats, because the locals said that they saw armed men coming with speedboats, or maybe they came from a naval ship, or maybe even a helicopter just dropped them with the speedboats in the ocean and then keeps waiting for them until they come back and it's going to take them back away. It doesn't have to be only the Shayetet 13, the Navy SEALs who did that, because you see there's another unit that is very qualified to do these kind of operations in Israel, and that unit is Shayetet Matkal, which is the equivalent for the Delta Force in the US. Now the reason I say Shayetet Matkal might be even more qualified to do these kind of operations because their sole purpose is gathering intelligence and working deep behind enemy lines. And it have happened in the past that the Shayetet, the Navy SEALs, will be the unit that will bring agents from Mossad or operators from Shayetet Matkal, and they will bring them safely into the location and then create some kind of security zone. And then that unit will go do the abduction, the assassination, or I don't know what, come back, retrieve the data that they came to take, come back, and then the Navy SEALs will go off and take them back and bring them safe back home. We don't know, but one thing that I want us to focus on here right now, and I think people might have missed that, so let's watch this video again. Now you see they're walking with the guy, but then this guy, he's just walking there freely, and this guy. Who are these civilians who are there with the Navy SEAL, with the Israeli commando, and what are they doing there? Now, there's a few ways that special forces will use either their own people that will go ahead of the force dressed like civilians so they don't attract too much attention, and then they will gather crucial intelligence, boots on the ground about their target. We saw that with the Yamam operation when they rescued the hostages from Gaza, from Riyadh. Israel have sent the Mista'avim, the special unit that is trained to infiltrate Arab communities, and they went and lived among the Gazans for about 5 weeks. Now, there were women and men. I mean, come on, how awesome is Israel for having such an empowerment for women, that women are actually in the combat zone as fighter pilots, as naval commanders, as intelligence officers, even in the special forces disguised as, local enemy combatants. And what they usually do is they will get there before, and they will start gathering information, they will start blending in the community, they'll start learning the political structure of that environment, the powers at play, the different families and tribes that are working there. They will also start gathering very important information about the suspect that they're following, or the hostages that they want to rescue, where they're at, their whereabouts, also about all kind of obstacles that might be when the unit will come to rescue these hostages, or in this case, to abduct that person. This information, this intelligence is crucial. You cannot replace it with digital powers. I mean, you can try, but nothing comes as good as the person on the ground that can come and tell you, listen guys, we have this, we know that. Then you'll send it back to HQ, and then they will plan together which is the best way. He might be even the one to give them the green light. Now is a good time, and etc., so they will be better off executing this operation. So these people might have been there, either by the Mossad or from this unit, for quite a while, but now when the operation was conducted, they need to extract them, so they will come, rendezvous with the unit, and go back all the way to Israel. Another reason for special forces to deploy their agents in civilian clothing, embedding them in the civilian community, is when your soldiers get exposed. When they're coming with the uniform and the guns and someone sees them and exposes them, you've already sent these agents ahead of them. Now, one of them is sitting on a rooftop just looking at the stars, another one is drinking coffee in the corner street, and when and if they got exposed, the enemy forces will try to come and fight them, and these guys might see them first, so they're gonna give a call to their guys and listen, guys, shit is gonna hit the fence, get ready, we're gonna have a gunfight. Also, the units of the enemies who might be right now charging to that location to rescue their man or stop the operation of the hostage rescue, they're most likely going to ignore these civilians who are going to be behind them, and they can have their own weapons, silencers, grenades, explosive devices, so they can come from behind and just hammer them, tackle them, and then rendezvous with the unit and disappear. So it's some kind of adding another element into your combat, adding another element of surprise and another element of intelligence that is very fast. It's not something that you're going to have to do with cyber or digital. It's that man right there who sees what he sees, and he knows to understand what's happening, and he can communicate with the soldiers and then rendezvous with them, and like I said, get the heck out of there. Now here's another interesting aspect. As per local news and the locals, they have seen these soldiers coming with their boats, and then they have seen them walking in the streets. But what happened is, one of the guys in that unit started yelling at them in Arabic and telling them, you know, Secret Service, or I don't know what, the government, get back in your houses, close your windows, and that's what they did, buying them extra time. When you are operating in an enemy country that is run by a dictatorship, or having its people oppressed by a terrorist organization, or for this example by Iran and Hezbollah or Iran have been kidnapping their own people, the Lebanese people, for a long time already, executing them, taking people, silencing opposition. So people there are living in fear from their own government. So when someone just comes and throws a word in Arabic and tells them, or in the local language, the people are going to believe that this might be the government, because they are the enemy of the people, sometimes even more than the enemy from outside. And they're going to go and hide, close the windows, and no one is going to do anything. They're going to say, don't get involved, you don't want to get in trouble. They might even not call the police because they're afraid to get themselves under interrogation and later on being accused as spies. And that's what so many Arab countries fail to understand. Freedom is power. Dictatorship, oppression is not power. If an enemy special unit will infiltrate Israel, the chances that they will come back alive are almost zero. The same thing with America, for example. And the reason is because the people in these countries are usually not afraid of their own police, not afraid of their own government. They shouldn't be. So they are much more comfortable criticizing and asking, hey, what's going on here? If they feel like something is wrong, they're going to call and report that immediately. And you're going to have the people very much with the government defending themselves. Rather, here where we have oppressive countries, the people are more afraid sometimes of the government than of the enemies. And that's what kind of happened, I think, over here. But here's another interesting aspect. Some of the reports have been saying that the security cameras have been sabotaged, deleting a lot of the image. However, we can see that this image is still there. Now, is that a mistake? Did Israel maybe forget to cyber attack these cameras? Or did maybe Israel allowed these cameras to stay there so they can leave some kind of a breadcrumb to send their enemies a message? And what message can that be? You see, something like this is embarrassing for Hezbollah, is embarrassing for Lebanon, is embarrassing for Iran. Israel basically just went in, plucked the guy, went out, not a single fire was shot, did it like it's just a casual Sunday. Later on, an Israel commander went into Syria and abducted another Iranian spy and brought him to Israel for interrogation. Doing that and making it look so easy is a big blow and an embarrassment for Hezbollah and Iran and its proxies. And we can already start hearing in the streets of Lebanon, all the way from media figures to TikTok figures to all kind of influencers, where they're coming and saying that Hezbollah have lied to us, they've cheated us, Nasrallah have promised us that the next attack in Israel, we're going to wipe out Israel. And it couldn't be any further than that.
رأيك اليوم حزب الله منتصر أو مهزوم في هذه اللحظة؟
مهزوم. حزب الله كان يقولنا إنه أنا حدمر إسرائيل. هذه تسجيلات موجودة للسيد حسن نصر الله بيقول فيها هذه الحرب القادمة ستدمر إسرائيل، ستزيل إسرائيل من الوجود وأنا لا أبالغ. قالنا أنه عنا مئات آلاف الصواريخ، قالنا عنا 100,000 مقاتل، قالنا على مدى 20 سنة ما بنصح إسرائيل تكدنب في التيشة. اللي صار اليوم، اللي عم نشوفه اليوم، لا يرتقي إلى 10% مما هن قالوا.
They're not winning, they're losing big time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, what happened is when Israel starts speaking the language of the Arab man. Remember one of my last videos, I came and said that the solution to stabilize the Middle East is actually power and respect. It's actually showing a sign of force, a sign of violence. And that is the language that they understand. And you can see that right now happening. Hezbollah has been crushed. Hezbollah has been scattered. The entire command chain have been eliminated. Their soldiers are running away. They're even admitting that many times when they ran away or give up, it's because they ran out of human shields, because all the other citizens ran away and they didn't want to die. So that is helping expose how weak and pathetic are the enemy and how strong and capable is Israel. And with that kind of humiliation, that's how you defeat a radical Muslim jihadist ideology. Not with diplomacy, not with ceasefire, not with giving them land. Because you see, if Israel would have listened to Biden or Kamala and did not start this operation, Hezbollah would have been used that resolution, that image, as a sign of power. See what happened? We went and attacked Israel and they backed down, and that would have encouraged them to create more October 7 and more attacks and aggressions towards Israel. But what's happening right now, it's making Hezbollah realize, like, oh crap, we've messed with the wrong lion. Now he's literally unleashed and he's coming and just tearing to pieces everyone that is coming in its way. And also, the people are starting to see, who are these jokers? All these empty words that have been promising us. Nothing is true. They are just a bunch of cowards, and look what kind of a destruction they have brought on our nation. So perhaps Israel have decided to leave this image so the enemies of Israel can get the memo. The only reason we're not abducting you or taking you down is because we choose not to do that. So get the hint and don't mess with Israel. If you're in Iran, if you're in Syria, if you're in Lebanon, if you're in Gaza, if you come and you try to murder the Israelis, if you come and try to genocide the Jews, there's nowhere on the face of this planet that you're going to be safe. And that is a very powerful message. And again, that is speaking the language of the Arab man. And regarding this naval officer that they have abducted, let me give you a little bit kind of background story so it helps you understand perhaps what's the reasoning behind it. Hezbollah have been investing a lot in its naval capabilities. If it's for smuggling drugs and smuggling supplies like weapons and etc. into Lebanon so they can keep fighting Israel, smuggled all the way from Iran and the proxies, or who knows, perhaps they're even trying to attack Israel's natural gas resource that is in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, and that is a huge asset for Israel. Now, by grabbing someone like that who is a high top official in the Hezbollah naval kind of force, you're probably going to get a lot of interesting information about their capabilities, their plans, and also maybe scare the living hell out of them, and you're going to start hearing more and more. Like I said in the past, you throw dynamite into the river and all the fish start jumping, and then you know if there's fish in that river and you know how to fish them and hunt them. So by doing that, Israel might reveal a lot of interesting repercussions that might lead to more crazy operations like we saw here by the Israeli Special Forces, by the Mossad, by the Israel intelligence, and etc. One more thing. Israel have made it a goal not only to defeat Hezbollah, but also to cut down the Iranian chain that is supplying Hezbollah with all these rockets and missiles and drones and I don't know what, sponsored in some way by the American taxpayers. I mean, it saddens me to say, but the Kamala and Biden administration have been sending billions of dollars to Iran. Trump have cut it to zero, but for some reason America keeps paying Iran, knowing that Iran is using that money to either build a nuclear facility where they're gonna threaten the world with a nuclear apocalypse, or directly strengthening their proxies to spread terror and death in the Middle East and all across the world, destabilizing the whole region. So one of Israel's goals is not only to defeat and destroy Hezbollah, and to push them away from the border so they cannot do an October 7th, so they can't keep shooting rockets at Israel's civilians, but also to cut the chain of supplies so it cannot be reinstalled. So once Israel leave Lebanon, they don't want to leave and end up having to come back again in 5 or 10 years And then again, you're going to have Lebanon destroyed and going back to the medieval days, and you're going to have so many casualties on both sides. Hence bringing us to the point where I used to say sometimes the solution is war. When you did not do the right necessary steps before reaching a war, and you allow the enemy to grow, the same enemy that keep telling you he want to destroy you, and now you're facing him and he's actually trying to destroy you, at this point, negotiation might not work anymore. And the only solution will be war, will be blood, will be destruction. It's always, I'm not a warmonger, and I always hope to find a peaceful resolution. But in this case right now, I think that the only peaceful resolution can come once Israel managed to defeat and destroy these radical Iranian proxies like Hezbollah, like Hamas, like the Houthis, like even the Islamic Republic of Iran, to take them down so this cannot happen again. And if they don't do that, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be dealing with the same story years from now. I really hope I'm not going to come to a point where you're going to say, told you so, but let's see how this unfolds. I think, especially with the coming election of the US right now, we can see already Iran starting to cry and whine, oh no, if Trump get elected, he's going to again try to take us down and stop us from doing all the evil stuff that we're doing. So we need you college boys in America, please go and support us, because we can't let Trump get elected, because then we can't play terrorism anymore. So either way, guys, I hope you found today's video beneficial. If you did, feel free to leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, the whole shebang. And if you want to find a direct